A young Don Vito quietly agrees with a landlord who apologizes profusely as he explains to the Don that money isn't everything. Some would hear this and say, then go work for the lowest pay possible. That quip would earn a few chuckles, but after some thought, it quickly becomes juvenile. If there is anything we have drawn from the Godfather movies, it's that not everything can be tagged with a price. In fact, the most valuable things in life, friendship, loyalty, respect, don't have monetary value attached to them. Why should any of this matter when comparing the Corleone heads of family? Vito Corleone and his son, Michael, are the central figures in two of the greatest mafia films ever made. One can't help but draw comparisons between them. First released in 1972, The Godfather and its subsequent hit 2 years later, The Godfather Part 2, are classic films from the director Francis Ford Coppola that give an inside look at what few at the time knew to be the inner workings and private lives of the Italian-American mafia. Based on Mario Puzo's 1969 novel by the same name, the Godfather films have provided audiences through the years with interesting insights in both business and family matters. Starring Al Pacino as Michael Corleone, Marlon Brando as his present-day father, Don Vito Corleone, and Robert De Niro as the young Vito in the 1920s, the films show a stark contrast between the two Corleone Dons. It is easy to see that Michael Corleone is the more successful Don based on the degree to which he expands the business, the amount of his wealth, and perhaps even the extent of his network. But was he really better than his father? When posed with the question, who is the better Don, we shouldn't hazard a guess without first figuring out what makes a good Don. A good Don is one who is both feared and admired by his people, who has their loyalty, obedience, respect, and trust. But most of all, his relationships are based on friendship. Right off the bat, we can make the distinction between Vito and Michael based on their beginnings. Vito was orphaned at a young age and had to leave behind everything familiar to him in his world. This would explain why, as a grown man, he regarded his wife and children as his greatest treasures, including Tom, his adopted son. Spending time with the family is a value he instills in the younger generation, believing that you can't be a real man without doing so. Vito grew up on the streets. He learns early on that having friends whom you can trust and rely on is a great asset. When he dies, it is clear that he is loved by family and supported by his community. Michael, on the other hand, doesn't have close friends or allies. Prone to outbursts, every attempt at building a relationship ends up in disaster. Vito's first instinct is to negotiate, which we see when he deals with fellow immigrants. They mean a lot to him. So much, in fact, that he murders Don Fanucci for this reason and gains the respect of the community. Vito listens carefully to people and makes them value his friendship. Loyalty to him is of prime importance and is willingly offered. A favor needs to be repaid, not in cash but in kind. Vito builds his business on favors and on a reputation for being a man of his word, knowing full well how some things cannot be tagged with a price. Michael couldn't care less about his community. For him, it's all about the payback and control. He believes he is helping everyone, but in truth, he destroys lives and thinks only of himself. Vito constantly assesses everything with the help of his Consigliere and his inner circle. There is almost never a scene where he makes a decision without first consulting Tom, or Sonny, his eldest. He includes them in meetings, and he values their support. Even Fredo is in attendance when he sits down with Sollazzo. Unlike Vito, Michael neither values his people, claiming they are loyal only because of business interests, nor does he heed advice, as he is almost always without a consigliere by his side. He meets with Hyman Roth completely unaccompanied by family or counsel. By the end of Part 2, he suspects Tom is moving to Las Vegas, leaving Tom puzzled as to why his loyalty is in question. And when Michael deals with Fredo, he is alone, and he alone decides that Fredo is to be eliminated. This is not the first time Michael has strained relations with a close ally. Michael disappoints Frank Pantangeli, another close ally. Frank loses trust and decides to testify against Michael. As far as we know, this kind of misunderstanding never happened with Vito. Vito has mastered being a mafia don. He doesn't take things personally when Sonny is killed and tells the 5 families that, although both he and Tattaglia have lost sons, it must end there. Vito prefers peace because it is good for business. This is similar to Sollozzo's point of view, who, ironically enough, considers blood as too big of an expense. When Sollozzo attempts to kill Vito, Tom points out that it is business, not personal, but Michael takes it personally. He lays out his plan to kill Sollozzo and McCluskey. Insisting that it isn't personal, Sonny chides him for making it exactly that. Michael chooses to spill blood, and he gains power and wealth, not with friendly alliances, but through blackmail. He seems to have learned only one lesson well, which is to keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. He becomes increasingly self-absorbed, the estrangement of his wife, and the murder of his brother. Michael builds an empire while Vito leaves a legacy. Vito mentors Sonny to be his successor and takes care of everyone, thus ensuring his legacy. Michael mentors no one. Without notice, he hands everything over to Tom, effectively abandoning the family as he works to expand his empire through Hyman Roth. Vito keeps work and family separate. Everyone understands to never discuss business at the table, and he cautions his children, particularly Sonny, against being rash or too aggressive. Unlike Sonny, Michael starts out calm and calculating. However, he soon becomes easily enraged, cold-hearted, and distrustful, developing personal grievances against business associates, such as with Roth. Tom counsels him but is dismissed, with Michael quietly saying, "I don't feel I have to wipe everybody out, Tom. Just my enemies, that's all." In contrast, Vito considers himself a reasonable man. It's how he got Johnny out of a contract. And a Hollywood producer also comes to understand just how reasonable Vito is when he rejects the Don's first offer. When it comes to family, Michael is a total failure. He fails to take care of Connie or Fredo. Connie loses all respect for him after her husband Carlo is murdered. As for Fredo, he doesn't feel appreciated. Fredo wishes they had spent more time together, but it's too late. He has already betrayed Michael by aligning with Roth. It is too late for Michael and his wife Kay as well. Michael never wanted her to get involved, but he fails to separate the two sides of his life. Their marriage is based on a lie. But as it deteriorates, he tells Kay he will change, although it's all too late. She reveals a devastating secret which results in a violent outburst. There's a flashback that follows, of a younger Vito while on tour with his wife in Sicily, enjoying a good laugh among friends. The contrast to Michael and Kay, where Michael violently hits his wife for killing their baby, is staggering. What makes Vito a great Don is the attention he pays to both building healthy relationships and ensuring the continued strength of his family. Vito truly cares for his people. He is not only cunning, but also compassionate. He is not only feared, but loved and respected. He is the kind of Don to whom people pledge their loyalty. When Roth singles out good health as the most important thing, more than success, more than money, more than power, I think we aren't meant to take it as merely for the physical. Roth's statement brings a sharp focus on state of mind as well as health of relationships, ones that inevitably affect Michael in every aspect of his life. It can be argued that certainly Michael brings the Corleone family to heights never before achieved, and therefore is the better boss. But it is Vito who builds a legacy, an achievement that earns him the privilege of being the Godfather, in the truest sense of the word. What do you think? Tell me down in the comments if you agree or not.